Right now, you have 47 apps on your phone, a streaming service with 10,000 movies, a podcast on every topic ever written, and you're still bored. So here's a question for anyone who doesn't ask. What did ancient people do when they were bored? Not medieval people, not ancient Romans, not even ancient Egyptians. We'll look even further back, 100,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago, when there was no writing, no art, no music, no language as we know it, just people sitting around doing nothing. The answer changes everything we think about creativity, religion, and how our brains work. But first, did boredom exist back then? It's a serious scientific debate. For a long time, researchers believed our ancestors were too busy surviving. But in 1966, anthropologist Marshall Solins published a paper that changed everything. Studying the Kung people of the Kalahari, he found that they worked an average of 15 to 20 hours a week. The rest of the time, they relaxed, socialized, and lazed around. Solins called them a primitive, affluent society, not because they had a lot of things, but because they had time. So the question isn't whether they were bored. The question is, what were they doing when they were bored? They were playing. In 2010, archaeologist Francesco De Rico found 75,000-year-old shells in Blombos Cave. They were drilled and coated with ochre. These weren't tools or food, they were beads, the oldest art in human history. It began with boredom. It's the same with music. In 2008, a 40,000-year-old vulture bone flute was discovered in Germany. Someone just sat there and invented music. It turns out that music is what the brain does when it has nothing else to process. Neuroscientist Daniel Levitin argues that musical abilities predate language, as rhythm is the pattern recognition that helped us survive. Boredom invented the imagination. You can't be bored without the concept of time. To be bored, you need to know that this moment is too long and that the future could be better than the present. Animals don't get bored the way people do. But a person sitting in a cave 100,000 years ago starts thinking, what if the hunt doesn't go well tomorrow? What's over the mountain? Where do we go after death? All religions, philosophy, and science began with someone being bored and their mind wandering. In 2013, psychologist Sandy Mann demonstrated that boredom significantly increases creativity. The brain, left to its own devices, begins to generate stimuli. And the last thing they did was talk. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar found that about 65% of human conversations are social gossip. Dunbar argues that language evolved not for hunting, but for social bonding. Previously, primates bonded through one-on-one grooming, but language allowed them to build trust with an entire group of people at once. Gossip invented society. So 75,000 years ago, someone made a bead. 40,000 years ago, a flute. Somewhere in between, people began asking questions that became religion and science. Modern psychology calls the complete absence of boredom cognitive overload. Your default mode network, responsible for creativity, self-reflection, and empathy, only turns on when you're bored. We spent 300,000 years learning to fill silence with something meaningful, and then we invented the smartphone. But every time you put your phone down and let your mind wander, you're doing what the man in the cave did. Boredom didn't hold ancient people back. It made them human. And it can do the same for you if you let it.